In March 2004, France passed a law banning conspicuous religious symbols from public primary and secondary schools. On paper, it named no religion. Supporters said it protected children from religious pressure and kept classrooms neutral. Critics said it pushed devout Muslim girls out of public education. Then France went further. In 2010, it banned concealing the face in public spaces entirely. A French Muslim woman challenged the ban at the European Court of Human Rights. In 2014, the court upheld it, not on security grounds, but on the philosophical idea of living together, the right of a society to require its members to show their faces to one another. The UN Human Rights Committee later ruled the opposite. January 2015. 12 journalists and staff members were killed in the Charlie Hebdo office. November 2015. A series of coordinated attacks across Paris left 130 people dead, including 90 at the Bataclan concert hall in a single evening. These were not isolated incidents. They were major terrorist attacks carried out by extremists who claimed religious justification. Then came the one that changed the temperature of the entire debate. October 2020. A school teacher named Samuel Paty was beheaded outside his school. Days before Paty's killing, President Macron had given a speech warning the growth of a parallel society inside France, living by its own rules, turning away from the Republic. Paty's murder turned that speech into legislation. And in August 2021, France passed what critics call the Separatism Law. Sweeping, immediate. Private companies with public contracts now had to stay religiously neutral. Associations wanting public money had to sign a Republican commitment contract. Homeschooling became permission-based. The state used its new powers. Tens of thousands of inspections. Roughly 30 associations dissolved. 2 dissolved organizations became symbols. Baraka City, a Muslim humanitarian charity. And the Collective Against Islamophobia in France, an organization whose purpose was to document discrimination against Muslims. France's highest court upheld the CCIF's dissolution. Its defenders saw something darker, a state shutting down the body that cataloged the state's treatment of Muslims. On May 21, 2025, President Macron gathered his ministers into a Defense Council meeting. On the table was a report a year in the making, written by a senior prefect and a veteran diplomat. The report's central idea was called entrisme from below. Not terrorism, not a coup. A slow, patient, legal strategy of building community ecosystems. The report warns against treating every extremist as a potential Islamist and calls for what it describes as a third secular path. A political scientist cited in the report noted the supposed hardcore numbered only a few hundred people. The government's response was legislation: freeze assets, expand dissolution powers, create a new criminal offense of undermining the fundamental principles of the Republic. That bill passed the Senate in 2026. In 2023, France received 145,000 asylum requests, up 26% from 2022, the highest since 2016. In October 2023, an immigration bill passed the National Assembly in December 2023. Marine Le Pen called it an ideological victory for her movement. The toughest single measure in France's immigration transformation comes down to one number: 210 days. France extended the maximum detention period for undocumented migrants from 90 days to 210 days. 7 months locked in a detention center without conviction, waiting to be deported. No major Western democracy has imposed administrative detention on migrants at this scale in recent decades. No trial required. No criminal conviction necessary. Just a document check and a bureaucratic determination that you should not be in France. France also reimposed internal border controls across its Schengen borders, with Italy, Spain, and Germany making random document checks standard at crossings that had been open for decades. What distinguishes today from 2004 is the wider purpose of France's policies. For years, the government focused mainly on public rules, including religious clothing and the funding of places of worship. Today, its attention has shifted towards protecting national unity and the principles of the Republic. France argues that these measures are not aimed at religious belief itself. Instead, they are intended to address organizations and movements that the government believes may encourage separation from wider French society. It is a difficult balance for any liberal democracy, defending its laws and shared values while ensuring that peaceful citizens are treated fairly and are not judged because of their faith. France is not acting alone. It is one of several European countries responding to growing public concern about immigration and border control. Italy, Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands, Austria, and Denmark have all introduced tougher measures in recent years. At the same time, the European Union is trying to create a more coordinated system through its migration pact, while temporary border checks continue to place pressure on Schengen and the principle of open internal borders. France's approach is being closely watched because its government has tried to bring the immigration debate into the political center. Rather than leaving the issue entirely to far-right parties, President Macron's government has argued that stronger rules can exist alongside democratic values, legal protections, and respect for peaceful religious communities. Marine Le Pen described the 2023 immigration law as a victory for ideas her movement had supported for years. But the law was passed by Macron's government, which presented it as a practical response to public concerns rather than an attack on any religion or community. France says its goal is not to target or restrict private belief. Its stated aim is to protect social unity, enforce immigration law, and challenge movements that encourage separation from the wider republic. The difficult task is doing this carefully, without treating ordinary citizens as suspects because of their faith or background. That is why the rest of Europe is watching. France is attempting to show that a liberal democracy can strengthen its borders and defend shared civic values while remaining fair, measured, and respectful of individual freedom.